singer, and I think he's very talented.
I like his progressiveness. He's very progressive, and I like that.
And into his like transvestite style, but I like him now.
It tends to be that a lot of people see David Bowie as a trendsetter, and he has a lot of influence.
I think he's getting older and he's doing it gracefully.
The sensibility of the music should say everything. That's what rock and roll is all about.
音楽、芝居、ファッション、常に新しさが要求される世界で独自な想像をしてきた彼の鋭い感性は今何を見つめているのだろうか。テレビを拒否し続けていた彼が初めて日本からのインタビューに答えてくれた。
You certainly play various roles, transform from one persona to the others. Maybe before being accepted by the sort of institutionalized approved, you just move to the other, or you yourself getting tired of this role, or you are not stimulating it enough, for this. So you move. What was the reason?
Several factors. I was regarded as quite bizarre outsider when I first started in music. Not so much in England, who they feel comfortable with the eccentric, but the Americans, I feel, have a tougher time with it. They have a need to put it into some kind of, well, how do I define this? And I was working a lot with characters in the first sort of 10 years of what I was doing, and an album concept would revolve around one particular character, and then when I finished with that character and moved on to another album, I would sort of evolve another character.
Yes.
So I think I made my music itself started to become more accessible because there were no more characters, and I was presenting myself as myself. On the other side of that, new music became more popular. The kind of music that I had been writing was starting to be played by a lot of other bands, all in Japan and in England and in Germany.
You were at you're 15 years old when you were once a student of Zen Buddhism, and the second time you shaved off your head. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And like every other teenager that I knew, I was experimenting and trying to find out about other ways of living. I felt a very strong empathy with Buddhism because of the nature of its transient.
Yes.
The continual change of things made quite good sense to me, and it made sense with the way I write.
Yes.
And it said, yes, that's right. There is no permanence. There is nothing that is permanent. Everything is evolving.
Yes, evolving.
And it just felt right.
Life is that. Yes.
It became less of a religion to me as I grew older, and just it became a point of reference. I still have a strong empathy with Buddhists and Buddhism, but not as a personal religion,
yes,
but as a statement of philosophy.
Yeah.
I still feel that that's the nearest philosophy to the way I feel. So it's a source of strength too.
Yes.
I don't get too disappointed about things because I expect things to go wrong and go right. Both.
Yes.
And things just do what they do.
Right. Nothing stays eternal.
You sort of steer a ship across that course.
What kind of child were you, being interested in Zen Buddhism like that? It's fascinating.
Kind of precocious. Precocious and insular. In what sense? I like to be the kid on the block that found the new things first, and I would always read books that were maybe 2 or 3 years too old for me. Like that. Not understanding half of them, but sort of to get there first and to find these new inroads into things.
I see.
So it was sort of a flirtation with intellectualism when I was that young.
Oh,
and I hope it steadied out and just became a bit more rational after that. I guess I was kind of quiet. Again, I had... You must forgive me, but to the Western, when he thinks of the furthest removed culture, he generally thinks of somewhere like China or Japan.
Yes.
And for me, that always fascinated me, the extremes of the cultures. And so, because I was also doing mime when I was a teenager, and my mime teacher introduced me to the ideas of kabuki and no theatre. when I got to Japan, I eventually saw kabuki and no. And I became interested in the costuming and the theatrics, and therefore into the music. And so I developed a strong love of all the Japanese art forms. Much further, what I was doing with Ziggy Stardust, who was like a rock deity. I mean, and his high platform boots. I mean, that was straight out of kabuki theatre. I mean, a lot of his clothes, the emphasis was sort of. I just changed some of the ideas from kabuki and put them into. I had the lion's red hair. Was the Ziggy hair and platform boots came from kabuki, and I used to have krokus as well, who would take all my props and costumes off.
But when you dress like women, you must. Do you also feel
dress like a?
Lady. Like
I don't recall having done that. Only having done it for a promo film.
Oh, is that so? When you put on clothes like that, do you also feel very feminine, or how is it? Just.
No, I feel like a good actor.
Oh, no, of course, being a good actor. Do you think your view on bisexuality is changed?
I don't have a view. Everybody else seems to have views. I don't have a view. I just happened to be one when I was young.
Oh, I see. But you don't have any view at all now?
No, because it just becomes a press item.
I
can't possibly say anything serious about it, because all it becomes is a way for newspapers to sell it and boost their circulation, and that really doesn't interest me at all.
I think your record Let's Dance, in the video in the Let's Dance, you try to pick up the social issue of white discriminating aborigines, these natives.
Yeah.
Do you have any plan in the future to pick up any of the social issue again?
I do, and I keep circumventing it. It's kind of difficult for a rock singer to make any social issue out of anything without seeming to be getting onto some kind of platform. And in my case, I'm very cautious of being not seen as some kind of dilettante. It's a difficult position to be in, because I do so many things that it's hard for people, I think, to accept that I am capable of doing painting and acting and writing music and performing and my needs to direct, whatever, without seeming like a sort of running all over the place and not being serious about anything. So the most positive things that I can do are in terms of some kinds of charity work. And things that mean a lot to me personally. I was brought up in an area of London called Brixton, which is primarily a black Jamaican area. And recently I've been able to do various things for the Brixton community because of the position I have now and my freedom in doing kinds of concerts and being able to give the proceeds of concerts to neighbourhood funds or whatever. That's the small way that I can start.
Studying painting?
Yes. I'm sort of a second-rate German expressionist style. It's not very good, and not good enough for me to be able to support myself, give myself any kind of financial platform to work from. I wasn't making any money as a painter. I was very broke. But I also played tenor saxophone, and so I moved into bands, and I found that I could make a bit more money that way.
Yes.
And eventually, I found that my biggest fulfillment was writing my own material. So I was able to be creative and support myself at the same time, which is an ideal world. So I was very lucky that way. The precious thing that I seem to have is I've never had such great freedom as an artist to express myself and be accepted. I've never been accepted to the extent that I'm being accepted now. For some reason, this year has been momentous for me in those terms. I've never had so many people who have a genuine interest in what I do. And there have been so many bands, I guess, over the last few years that have been interested in what I've been doing and the way that I presented my material, that have kind of followed in a similar way.
So now you've been free and you've been accepted. Then looking at yourself, what do you think is the thing that you most don't wish to lose?
This freedom that I've just gained. I would hate to be in a position that I've seen with other artists that feel they have to conform to a certain image that the public have of them. And are, I think, probably trapped by it. Would like very much to break out of it and do other things, but they're scared that if they do that, they'll lose their audience. With me, fortunately, it is now expected for me to change a lot. So I've been able to fight for my own freedom as well. So I don't feel as though I'll ever have to be trapped into a style of music, a style of performance, or a kind of a movie. Or so. But if I lost that, I think I would just stop working.
Is there anything that you think you fear inside? You know, any human being has fear, I think. But what do you think in your case, if there's any?
Turning up to an empty stadium at the moment. It's a country I've been to repeatedly over the last 12 years. I've spent a lot of time there. But my favorite way of staying in Japan is after a concert's over. I like to, when a tour's finished, and then I stay on for maybe 1-2 months. The most I've stayed is 3 months. I stayed 3 months one time after the tours.
Tokyo?
In Kyoto, yeah.
Really?
And I took the trains up and down. Not the bullet, the little rackety trains.
Is that so? And you like sort of Japanese style garden and classic?
Yes, I also like the modern Japanese as well. I like some of the new painters and photographers and some of the clothes people are quite interesting. Kansai I like them.
Yes.
Kansai Yamamoto.
Yes.
Skita is a photographer, and I think they're very interesting.
I see. Yeah, I think
and Ryuichi, of course, is Ryuichi Sakamoto from Merry Christmas.
Yes.
I think his new music, his new solo music.
I've never seen him acting. That's the first time. It's very good.
Yeah, he's very stylized.
Yes. What is your sort of scenario? 21st century, looking ahead.
I don't think.
How do you deal?
Because of the rate of progress, which is so fast now, technologically and intellectually and scientifically, things are moving at such a rapid pace. I think it's very impractical for any man to try and make some kind of vision of what the world's going to be like next month, let alone the 21st century. I think we should open up areas of discovery that we can't even envisage within 10 years. From education, health, science, space, industry, technology. It's too new. That's the big problem, is that probably a lot of the machinery and hardware that we're using is far too sophisticated for the intellectual capacities of the people who are operating, which is the scariest part.
And now, looking back, something very sad in your life. Can you recall anything? Very depressing moment.
For me, saddest part would be not having spent enough time with my son when he was very, very young.
Yes.
Missing out those years because I was continually on the road all the time. But that I'll always regret, I think, for the first 3-4 years.
But you have a good communication with him.
Wonderful.
Yes. Does he resemble you, or very different child, do you think, comparing to your child?
What do you think? He does, yes.
He does, really? In what way?
Vagabond. Vagabond. Bohemian.
Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'd like to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I look forward very much to doing my tour in Japan.